Thank you very much for coming today to our Kauai Farm Bureau netting workshop, networking workshop. Thank you to Ueunten Farms for hosting CTAR, USDA, RD, and the Soil and Water Conservation Districts. Thank you very much. Kaumur Farms is here and the farmers. So we're going to learn to net our trees.
What we're going to do today is just go over a simple way of covering lychee trees with netting to prevent damage from the rose-ring parakeet. So as you see, we got all kinds of stuff here. These are all visual aids. As we get into the actual demonstration, I'm going to have volunteers come up. Very simple. We're going to take bamboo poles and put it over the tree and secure it. But before you can cover the tree, there's some steps that you have to take. And the main factor is the tree has to be a manageable size. So if you notice, the tree on the left is fairly small. And the tree on the right is spreading a little bit. So this tree will take one net, and that tree will take two nets. And most of the nets are cut 30 by 30. So the basic tools for pruning lychee: handsaw. I encourage you, if you use a handsaw, wear a glove because it's very easy to cut your hand. Pole saw. This is extendable, and then this is just a little saw with a handle on it. And the idea behind pruning is we want to keep the trees high enough so that the fruit doesn't hang down because the pigs will eat it. And we want to keep it low enough so we can get the net over it. So Brian, we will cut right there.
Got it. Right there?
Right there, perfect.
Yep.
So now you can see we're high enough, the pigs won't get the fruit, and also we can wrap the net around underneath the bottom. So the basic idea behind pruning fruit trees, especially lychee, is you want to get them to look like the palm of your hand. You want the light to penetrate through the top. So if you ever wondered how much netting you need to cover the tree, this is a good way. So we're going to try and get upright, lift it up. Okay, so this is 20-foot lengths of PVC. So this is 40 feet. So if we try and go over the tree, so that gives you an idea. This is 40 feet. Most nets are 30 feet wide. If you have to cover a big tree, this will set you up with what your rough estimate of the netting will be.
Almost like putting up the tarp for the shade houses.
Yeah, okay, we're going to turn it around. Put that in.
The big.
Yeah, that on this side. And we're going to lift it this way. A little bit easier. So we're going to have you turn around and put the short end on this side. Okay. So the way we attach this to the bamboo pole is just twist it. Okay. And same thing on this side. Just twist the corner on the pole. Okay, and just twist either way. Okay. And it's easier to put the net up this way than to go the other way. So you want to lift your net up. Okay, stand it straight up. Okay, George, back up a little. Okay, and then pull the net tight. And get it over the branch. So I'm going to push it over this way and you guys kind of walk back. Okay, sometimes you need a little help in the middle. Okay, walk it over. Okay, bring the pole down. Bring the pole down, yeah. And take the net off. Okay, now that we have the net on the tree, the last thing we have to do is tie it down. So the easiest way is just grab a corner and find a branch and tie it to the branch. And sometimes the net is too short or there isn't a good branch, then we just tie rope on it. Okay, so part of this presentation is food safety. So one of the reasons for putting up the net is to keep the animals away from your fruit because that's a source of contamination. And the other safety issue is contamination from the net. So before I put up the nets, what I'll usually do is when the net is in a bundle, I'll soak it in a bleach solution and that usually cleans it. And then later on in the back I have a tent. That's where I store the nets. We've been covering lychee trees like this for more than 10 years. So it's been a process. And one of the hardest lessons we learned is you cannot have branches that are low where the pigs will reach because they'll reach the branch, but they'll also grab the net. And if you let them, they'll actually rip the whole net off the tree. Okay, the question is, how do you take the net off? So very simple. Because the netting is so fine, the branches don't go through the netting. So it will just slide off. And the thing about netting, sometimes lychee will fruit only on one side of the tree. Sometimes it will flower, and then it'll flower again. So you have off timing. And you cannot cover the tree until the flowers are pollinated because you need the bees. And in the beginning, we could cover the tree when the fruit started to turn red. But then the parakeets started increasing in number and there's more competition for fruit. So they would start eating the green fruit. Okay, so the question is, how much fruit do we save? Let me put it this way. If I don't cover, I don't harvest. Even though we net, we still have damage. If I had to estimate, we still have about 10% bird damage. And that's between the parakeets that have figured out to get under the net, the chickens, and the other small birds. Okay, Calvin, the best way to do this is set the bottom and just keep moving it around. And then stand it upright. And then go that way.
It looks like I got taken over.
No, you can supervise. Okay, keep going. Okay, Brian, keep going. Pull that way. Okay, keep going. Okay, keep going. Keep going. So the worst thing you could do is keep pulling the net and go right over the tree and lose it on this side. Okay, pull that down. Okay, good. Just tie it up somehow. Okay. So sometimes the net will hang down and you want it up. Whatever you do, don't roll it this way, because then the fruit will get trapped in there and the pigs will eat it. So if you have to roll it on the outside. And sometimes I use small bungees or clamps or whatever just to get the net up. And then another finer point is, because you cover the tree, when it comes time to harvest, you have to decide, are you going to take the net off and harvest the whole tree, or are you going to harvest portions of the tree? So I tend to harvest portions of the tree. I loosen the net, I let it hang, and then I take my ladders and work under the net. And just, see, it just slides off. Okay. One more time, yeah. And, and then, no. You go. This is a 8-foot ladder. That's a 12-foot ladder. And I have a 6-foot ladder. And so the 6-foot ladder is good because on a tree that size, I can put the ladder inside of the tree. But just to demonstrate, this is the easiest way to get up in the tree. And another food safety tip is when you are doing food safety, you don't want the harvesting containers to touch the ground. So I use a harvest bag you hang around your neck or your shoulders, and you just put the fruit in. Maybe this is a little bit different than what most people do because some people will cut the whole panicle. I pick fruit individually. And the reason for that is not all the fruit on the panicle will ripen at the same time. And it also serves to be the first step in grading the fruit. So if you have damaged fruit, I throw it on the ground. And then the pigs come and they eat the fruit and the fruit fly larvae at the same time. So the pigs are useful in one sense. We will take the names of people who want netting, and when we get the netting from Hartung, we will start distributing netting. And this is part of the grant from the county. So before you leave, make sure you leave us your name, phone number, and we will try to get distribution points where we can hand out netting all over the island. And yeah, that's the fine stuff. And then Umi is from the Hawaii Tropical Fruit Growers, so he will be our contact with a lot of the growers. So Umi, you got anything, any comments?
No comments. But the next workshop is going to be on my farm, where we're going to be able to demonstrate on mango trees, and you guys can look at my orchard and see the projects that I'm working on there for sure.
So this is really informal. So we have all kinds of stuff back there. The fruit is for you to take home or eat if you want.
Question. So you had a lot of folks to do the big tree today. How do you do it normally?
I do it by myself, but you put one side up, put the other side up, push the middle up, and you keep walking back and forth. So I don't like big trees. I like small trees.
So on my farm, the trees are real close together, and I keep them at 8 feet high, the mango trees, and my rows are about 250 feet long, and we'll cover the whole thing. We'll just try to drape it over the whole row instead of individual trees.
So most of the netting that we've been seeing on the island is 30 feet wide by 300 feet long. So I cut them usually 30 by 30 or 30 by 40 at the most. And as you see, it doesn't weigh much here, but once you get it on poles, it's a lot to handle. You see the piles of branches? So what happens is I bring my chipper. I have a little chipper I have behind a UTV, and I chip it, throw it in the bed, and I dump it in the pile there.
I don't know if you talked already about when do you expect to be flowering?
So flowering, we expect late December. So lychee usually has 3 flowering flushes, here anyway. Late December and January, February. Last year was a really poor season. We only had the late flowering. We didn't have any early flowering. Later on, we can walk through and I can show you what I think are buds starting to emerge. And what controls flowering is the temperature and the state of the branch. So these trees flushed in September, late September when we had the rains. So that's a little bit late, so I'm kind of worried. It's better to have the flush in July or August, and then the branch will mature and be able to flush again in January. So we're still working on the netting, getting the netting from the Hartung property. That should happen soon. We need to get the invoice and do the paperwork. We think we'll get more than 20 rolls of netting, so we'll have plenty of netting to distribute.